All right, all right. Welcome you all. So in this video, what I want to talk to you about is winning. Why is winning so important? Why do we feel like we must win at all cost in certain areas? So to really break this down and understand why this is so important to understand is that we're seeking approval from someone in charge, someone older than us, someone we look up to, we admire, we're seeking something from this person. And so we want to win their approval to feel good. We want to come first in this area so that we can receive praise. And so we can tune out what's currently happening in pursuit of winning, right? It's a short story. And this is about being in being congruent, being consistent with who you want to be, who you believe you should be. So I had a guy who complimented me on being left-handed when I was giving him change. And I didn't stop him because I love the approve. I love the compliment. And this compliment made me feel good. And I chose to go along with it instead of challenging it, um, because of the source. And so that kind of ties into winning when we're looking at when we are focused on winning, we can sometimes compromise our integrity. So if I'm trying to get to a certain point and I'm short 5 points or 5 steps behind, I might cheat. I might cross the line so that I win because winning is more important in that moment than being in integrity with myself. And that's often what happens when we're committed to winning. So, who are you and who are you becoming when your primary focus is on winning, is on winning an achievement, receiving accolades? Who are you becoming when you don't have a solid foundation built on what it is that you're actually trying to do? Because then you'll find yourself winning things just for the sake of winning and compromising your integrity over unnecessary things. You'll find yourself building habits that lead to a certain outcome. You're building a certain character, an identity who you don't connect with. You have a sort of disconnect with this identity. And then we can punish ourselves, we can punish this identity because we don't recognize it. And it was built because we were in pursuit of achievement. We were trying to get something from someone else. And that thing we were unable to acknowledge in ourselves, give to ourselves, see in ourselves. So at certain points, at certain developmental stages, we do need that approval 100%. We do need that love. We do need the connection. the acceptance. And at a certain point, when you are in a leadership role, when you're in a place where you need to give more than you're receiving, when the balance, or when you're small, it's more you need to receive more than what you're giving, and then it sort of shifts roles. And you still have needs. Those needs don't go away. So these needs that you have, they're still present, they're still active. What happens is that we no longer acknowledge them. We're distracted. We're focused on the negative. And so we step over people. We we listen to be right instead of listening to do what's right. So we're listening to say the right thing, instead of versus understanding. So there is a place for winning. It's understanding or asking yourself at what cost. Where's the line? Where am I willing to stop? Because we can often, I'm going to do whatever it takes, and then realize that we went too deep down a certain path, and that level of depth can sometimes shut us down, and we realize there is no coming back. We're in too deep here. This thing got out of hand. It got out of control. And it's because we did not do the prep work. We didn't set the foundation early on. And we just were following someone else, being led, or we didn't have the awareness that we needed to set guidelines, uh, boundaries in place to protect us from going down a path that we weren't aware of. So that's the breakdown of winning, um, in this sort of context. And there's nothing wrong with the validation or approval. It's when it takes you, down a path that's not intentional, and you have to become someone other than who you are in order to get it. Meaning you are not worthy without the achievement of this thing. So I'm less without this thing. And so in order to get this thing, I have to do whatever it takes, including compromising my integrity. And so we sacrifice our values, what's important to us, in order to get the approval. And once we get it, it's very short lived, it's fleeting, it evaporates right into the air. And we need another fix, we need another hit of approval and acceptance. And so, in doing so, we find that we've created this anxious character who's constantly seeking approval, and this impacts decision making. How many decisions are heavily influenced by our environment, by our own thoughts, and how do we disrupt this? How do we make different choices when you're in a spiral, and someone just has you and they're spinning you in circles because they have leverage, and you're simply, I don't know, you're being tossed around like a rag doll. You're being tossed around like a rag doll. How do you regain balance? Well, you need to choose disruption. You need to disrupt yourself, your environment, what you're doing. Intentional disruption. Oftentimes, we can create a chaotic environment. And when there's chaos, you need order. And when there's too much order, you need intentional disruption for chaos. So, disruption is the solution. when you find yourself in a spiral that on the surface looks good because you're winning and you're not looking at who you are losing or who you're pushing away with every victory. What's the cost of each win? Broken connection. If you're creating a win lose, I win, you lose scenario, instead of focusing on a win win, um, displaying understanding. And that was one of the things that I did wrong early on in my relationships. I won a lot. And not all of them fair. Some of them I won by being louder, not letting it go, seeing one side, my side, not validating or even acknowledging what the other person was trying to achieve, what they were going for, what's their perspective. I had none of that. And it was only my view and I needed to win. And so I was blind to what was the cost of those wins. I experienced the joy from feeling smart, like, ooh, I outsmarted you, and this the temporary win. And it was just another like stacking these chips. Like I'm winning in these arguments. This is good, winning. But we were in this together. So I was creating separation, I was creating disconnect. And I felt like if I was winning, we were winning. And I didn't check in and I didn't communicate and take the health of the relationship until the other end had burned out. And it was such a shock when I realized that this thing had burned out, meaning there's nothing left, there's nothing to revive. It's done. And there was a process of accepting that. And then I knew that I needed to slow down and incorporate empathy for other people in my life. I needed to understand. I needed to not win everything. And then as that transformation happened, I began to get to know myself better, love myself more, be kinder to myself, and I became kinder to other people. And so winning is a big deal for a lot of us, and learning not to win can be a real struggle. That's it for now. Hopefully, we can add or continue this conversation around winning in another video. Thank you. And drop me any comments if you have any questions about winning.